Hello everybody, this is Stephen Howson. This is Full Time Devils. This is the huge FA Cup final debate. And we've been doing loads of stuff with CFC Fan TV this week. Make sure to go and check out the quiz. There's going to be a preview and obviously all the stuff that follows from the successful FA Cup final that we're going to have. Today joining me, I've got Olivia from CFC Fan TV. I've got Adam McKola and I've got Statman Daddy joining us as well. What's happening, fellas? And Lady?
Hello, hello.
And Dave?
Yeah, I'm good.
Right then, so we're going to kick it off talking about past United versus Chelsea memories. We're going to go ladies first. So Princess McKola, please tell us your favourite Manchester United versus Chelsea memory.
Oh man, when I was reading the email, apart from sending Chris my predicted 11 because I got the wrong show, I was thinking about Chelsea memories, and the one that sticks out for me, well, there's two that sticks out for me. One, because I'm just a Beckham fanboy and always will be. And two, because it's one of my first real memories of football. 1994 Cup Final when we beat Chelsea 4-0. That is, for me, like one of my earliest memories of watching Manchester United. And like, from that day, I've always loved the FA Cup and still do. And the second one would be another FA Cup game at Stamford Bridge when we won 5-3. And I think it was in 97 or 98, and David Beckham scored 2, and he stood in the Gold Cup in his ears, and I had that poster on my wall for years. And yeah, those are two of my favourite memories. And Scholes' long ranger in a 3-0 win.
That FA Cup final in 1994 that we won 4-0 in the rain. 4-0 in the rain. You remember it? You remember it well. It was Dimitri Karin in net, I think, for Chelsea. We had an FA Cup final song saying, come on your heads. We did. Why have we not got an FA Cup final song this week? What's going on?
Jesse Lingard could do the dance.
No.
I think it's something that definitely should happen. It's mad that if that happened now...
Oh, you get tired.
People would
It'd be fun, yeah.
And they did really cringy things back in the day.
With Status Quo, who were an old band.
Football's changed, football's broken. But they used to happen back in the day.
Yeah, Status Quo were a naff band in 1994, so I don't know. I mean, you could use Status Quo now, it'd be on exactly the same level.
Ray used to go to City games.
All right, let's not get sidetracked. We're talking about United and Chelsea. Olivia, give us your favourite United and Chelsea moments, but please only use the ones where United did well. Thank you.
Absolutely not. The one that sticks out for me now, because of who your manager is the 4-0 at Stamford Bridge last season, because it was his first time back at the Bridge supporting, managing another team, and it couldn't have been any sweeter. To score a goal within the first 30 seconds. Also, that game is the most special. Just, do you know what? I love Jose Mourinho. I always will, and I think every real Chelsea fan will always love him for being our most successful manager, but that win was so sweet. But do you know what? Thiago's strike when we beat, I think it was 3-1 at Old Trafford. I mean, I don't think that can go amiss. And in 05-06 when we beat, I think 3-0, when Joe Cole scored, and we went on to win the league that year, they were pretty special. But for me, because I've growing up, it was always really difficult to get tickets for Chelsea. I was always a fan. My dad tried to take me whenever he could, but it's only really been these past 4 or 5 years that I've sort of been able to go. I go on my own now. I just go to games and sit on my own. That doesn't bother me anymore. And that, being there for that, being there for that Man United game where we beat them 4-0, that was probably the most special for me.
I have no idea about any of these games that you're talking about. David, do you want to give us your favourite United and Chelsea memories?
Yeah, it's simple, isn't it, really? You go over to Russia and you win a European Cup. You know, the
David.
drama, the game, everything.
I remember that one.
Right?
No.
That has to be the best.
Talk me through what happened again. Just
whatever. No, it's fine. No, it's fine. Stop there.
It was something like, it was a 5th penalty, was it? And John Terry stepped up and...
No.
Do you know what?
Can I just pause for a second? What happened is, John Terry saw his name in headlights, seeing Captain Chelsea was about to win the European Cup, adjusted his armband on the way up, thinking of the headlines and all the photographs he was about to be in, and then he cried when he missed. And Manchester
but
we've
won it since, so it doesn't matter. We've won it since. If we hadn't have won it, that would still be very, very hard to take. But we've won it. We've won it.
Terry didn't play.
But he still... Listen, he was there the whole way, apart from the semi-final and the final, but it's fine. Yeah, do what he deserved to be. Leave him alone.
Well, anyway, all right, let's move on. So let's talk about
one that sticks out. A free at Old Trafford.
No. Oh.
Javier Hernandez goal. That was away at Chelsea.
That was away. That was offside. That one. Yeah, that goal that was given was offside.
Let's not talk about offsides. United and Chelsea.
Trafford, which gave you guys the league. That was definitely offside.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to talk about Pogba versus Hazard. I'm going to go to Olivia first. Who is the better player and why?
This isn't even a debate. How can you try and compare Paul Pogba with Eden Hazard? He is. Do you know what? It says a lot when one of your players comes out and says that Eden Hazard's the best player in the league. So when he plays with Paul Pogba. And Herrera came and said Salah's not and Hazard is. No, I think Hazard's won us. I know Costa was obviously a big part of those two seasons as well, but I watch Hazard every single game, and what frustrates me about his game is that stats don't back him up, and stats will never back him up, because he is single-handedly, every time I watch Chelsea, bar probably Kante, the best player on the pitch every single time. I've never seen the ball stick to someone's foot like it does Hazard, and Messi's probably the only other person that I'd go, yeah, he's probably better at the ball sticking to his foot, but he's turned up in big games, he's scored big goals, I just don't think, and I know obviously transfer fees change now, and obviously Pogba was 100 and Hazard was only 30, and obviously if you sold Hazard now, he'd probably be around that mark, but I just don't think Pogba's even justified half of what you've spent on him. I think he's had a couple of good games. I just think for a £100 million player, you've got to be turning up in all of the big games, and he's gone missing a fair few times this season. And don't get me wrong, Hazard's inconsistent at times. I know that. But I think more or less he's the best player on the pitch. And yes, our strikers don't finish off his chances. And if they did, he'd probably have a million more assists than he does. But I just think I don't think they're even comparable, to be perfectly honest.
David, who's better, Pogba or Hazard?
Comparable. They're different players. I do understand that. I think Eden Hazard is a wonderful talent. But I think what you said before, the stats don't back it up. With this season, Raheem Sterling scored 18 goals in the Premier League. Hazard has never, ever managed that. And I think that's the big thing. I think Eden Hazard is a wonderful footballer and a fantastic
talent. He's unselfish
talent.
Is what annoys me. He's so unselfish. If he gets into positions where you're like Messi and Ronaldo would shoot, and it's just put your foot through it, just shoot, and he doesn't. He always looks to square it or looks to pass, and that's what's frustrating. I get that. Stats will never back him up, though. They never will.
I kind of think as well that's down to his technique. I think he's really bad from outside the box. I don't think he has that power in him. I think he's one of those players that just doesn't have you hit the ball and it's going to fly into the top left, the top right. He's always looking to curl it. Yeah. And I think that's down to his technique. And ultimately, in terms of if you're rating the top players in the world, the Neymars, your Messis, your Ronaldos, Hazard is never going to be that good. And I think that's the problem with Eden Hazard, is that he's kind of hit his level. And I don't think he's going to improve. Whereas Paul Pogba is on his way to stardom. I think Paul Pogba has the talent to be one of the best, 3 players in the world. He's going to be competing for the Ballon d'Or in the next few years. You look at something quite simple with, goals and assists this season, got 10 assists and 6 goals. He's been directly involved in the same amount of goals as Eden Hazard. Hazard as well has been directly involved in 16 goals. But I think the level of Paul Pogba where he can go, it's all about potential, I think, in this debate. Hazard's hit his sort of peak and Pogba's got a long way to go.
Does that make him a better player?
I'm just saying he's got a bigger peak, so he will be a better player.
I'll let these two finish their argument.
Hazard or Pogba? Who's the better player now?
I'd take both of them in my team, to be totally honest. And I think because they are different players, they would both work in a team together. I think when you look at the honours that both players have, Paul Pogba, who's younger, has more honours to his name if you include the honours that he won before he arrived at Manchester United as well. 4 league titles compared to Hazard's 3. Of course, Hazard is a fantastic player, but I feel because you can't compare the two players in terms of one's a central midfielder, one's a wide player, attacking player.
Number 10, yeah.
You can't compare the players in that aspect. The way I would compare them would be if you were to put both players up for sale right now, who would get more money? And I think with Paul Pogba having more years ahead of him, more room, more ceiling to develop, I think he would be the most valuable player of the two. But I'd take Hazard at United if we didn't have Mourinho, that is.
Yeah, he's already come out and said no. So sorry about that. He's probably off somewhere else.
Now, so we'll be all right.
Oh, apparently we're after him as well.
Fingers crossed.
Right then, we are going to cut to a 30-second advert. If you're watching live, you probably won't see this. If you're watching afterwards, then you might. And there you go. Right then, the next thing we are going to talk about is who's going to finish higher in the league next season. David, I'm going to come to you first on this one. Who's finishing higher next season after we've beat them in the FA Cup final, United or Chelsea?
I think as, FA Cup winners, Man United will finish above Chelsea.
FA Cup champions of the world, David, please give it
FA Cup champions of the world. Former Europa League champions of the world.
Yeah, and Charity Shield champions of the world as well, by the way.
Yeah. I think the only bad thing about Chelsea at the moment is their transfers last season were absolutely awful. They're losing Costa, losing someone like Matic, potentially losing someone like David Luiz, who massively fell out with Conte. They weren't sort of replaced within the squad. You think in the likes of Danny Drinkwater, Bakayoko, Morata, that haven't really hit the same levels of Costa and Matic. And for me, I think that sort of tells a story of what's going to happen next season, that Chelsea are in a way where they're a bit wishy-washy with their transfers. They're kind of, the manager's coming in and saying, I want this guy, they're signing somebody else. And I think that will still be an issue, whether or not Conte stays, whether a new manager comes in. Whereas Manchester United under Mourinho seem to have given Mourinho the power to be like, look, we're going to sign Alexis Sanchez in January.
And we're still going to play rubbish football.
Potentially, but it's enjoyable when you're sitting back and you can keep on the break. Imagine United pull off a big signing, they get someone like a decent centre half, a decent central midfield, a decent fullback. So that completes United's team. And I think Chelsea have got a lot more players that they need to bring in to get up to that level of champions again. I think that's the thing. Chelsea are in the Europa League. They're going to have, a lot of football, which is going to cost them games and points. We saw what happened to United. We saw what happened to Arsenal. It's probably going to be sixth place for Chelsea, unfortunately, if they go and throw all their sort of eggs in the Europa League basket, which is kind of what we've seen with Premier League clubs over the last few seasons. So for me, it's definitely United potentially winning the title.
That's not going to happen.
Olivia, then, so who's going to finish higher, United or Chelsea next season?
I think this is a very, very important summer for Chelsea. I mean, if you look at it, really, we should be winning the league next year if we're going to carry on the trend. But this is the most important season where I think that cycle of sacking managers and hiring someone new and winning the league, I think it's going to come to an end. If we don't have it's going to come to an end at some point, isn't it? That's not going to last forever. And we've got a very, like Hazard said yesterday, him signing a contract is going to be
not there next season.
Don't shatter my dreams like that. I'm holding on to that last little bit of hope that he's still. But he came out and said yesterday that him signing a new contract depends on who we sign. And based on the signings last season, I'm surprised he was even here like this season. But I know they're trying to bring in an attacking manager, and if we do have a good summer and if we do bring in the right players, because yes, losing Costa was difficult, and yes, losing Matic and stuff, and we didn't really replace them, but I'm keeping faith in Morata for one more year. I think United, you've done well this season. How on earth you finished second, I really don't know, because I've watched you the last couple of games and you've been absolutely rubbish. So have we, so have everyone. But there's no way you're going on to win the league next season, not with that team. I mean, if you add to it, maybe City are going to go on a rampage again this summer, and I cannot see anyone getting close to them. Chelsea United, I think if we have a good enough summer, there's no reason why we can't finish above you based on what I've seen from you this season. But it does depend. I'm not going to go out there and say right now we're going to finish above you, because I don't believe that. I believe if we have a good summer, we get a good manager in, depending on who that be. I don't know, Sarri they're looking at. I don't know. There's no reason why we can't finish above you. But if you're telling me right now, I've got to be honest and say we're probably not going to finish above you. But come August, when the transfer window's shut, if you ask me again, it might be different.
Adam, who's finishing higher?
And that's Europa League football.
It's difficult, and I genuinely that might be our realistic route back into the top four. And like Arsenal tried, obviously they've got Atletico Madrid, and it is harder when teams from the Champions League come in it. But yes, we have more games, and yes, focusing on the Europa League, it might be our best way back into the Champions League. And I would take that for a season.
For that reason, you won't finish above Manchester United. I don't think anyone that plays in the Europa League can finish realistically in the top three. I think it destroys your season.
Yeah.
Playing like Europa League football, the amount of games, where those games are, when those games are. I just think Europa League football is not going to cut it. And I just think you're going to miss. You're going to lose Hazard. You haven't got your number 9 sorted yet. Although I think Morata will improve.
Yeah.
Nah, you're not finishing above Man United. Even if we have the same season we've had this season, you won't finish above United.
I'm not sure. Everyone's going to improve, aren't they?
He'll have a new manager as well, who's likely to not be Premier League proven.
It's not possible for everybody to improve, though, is it?
Whoever we get is not going to be Premier League proven. We're not going to get a Premier League manager, so it's going to be Sarri or it's not going to be Allegri now. But yeah, whoever we get, but you've got to take a risk. Conte wasn't Premier League proven, so
by Burnley after playing in the Europa League with your new manager.
No, we got pumped by Burnley first game of the season without playing in the Europa League, so I don't think the Europa League's going to change that.
Right then, I've got some comments from those people watching at home. Brownwall says, Hazard's a mercenary who's had a good season then a bad. Pogba's has the best defensive stats with the most games unbeaten in Europe. Sudan says, exactly, Hazard is overrated. Sané is better than him and he has just started playing. Cheeky people. People from Cheeky. Says, people always point to assists and goals. Squawker's total score ranks Hazard as the second best in the world last year, third best in 2014-15 and fifth best this season. No, he's saying how wrong it is.
I built that score.
Well, what do you?
He knows.
He's saying how wrong it is, and Dave knows how wrong it is because he built it.
No, I think it's an interesting one. I think with Hazard, he's got Messi-like stats when you're talking about dribbles and what he does in the final third in terms of passes and stuff. And again, I think that's the best part of his game. Again, what I said before is finishing needs to improve to get to that next bracket of player.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Half the time he runs the ball into the corner and just sticks his arse out at people.
Yes, he's got a massive bum, hasn't he? He kept Van Dijk off the other day. I don't know how he done that. It's huge. That's how he keeps the ball, isn't it? Just sticks his bum out and no one can get close to him.
Karan says Pogba is the best. End of discussion. And Cameron says, question for Steve and Olivia. Do you think if United had Morata and Chelsea had Romelu,
you know
the league standings would have been reversed?
I don't know. I think. Do you know what? Someone asked me this the other day, and it's the sort of thing where at the time I was like sort of glad we've got Morata. Lukaku's been brilliant. He had a slow. I can't remember how his start was, but he sort of slowed down. But he was Premier League proven, and he was always going to score goals for you in the Premier League always. Now we took a risk with Morata, and I've seen glimpses like his movement, his technique. It's all absolutely brilliant. I don't know what it is that he hasn't got. It's like finishing with his feet. He just I don't know, but I've seen. I think I've seen. Yeah, like his not like. Lukaku would have fit Chelsea because we've always had a big striker that's good at holding the ball up, and Morata's not that, and Lukaku is that. I mean, it would have been interesting. We're never going to know, are we? I don't know if the league stands have changed that much.
Morata seems a little bit like
he had a lot.
He needs things to be going well around him. And
he had a lot of mental issues, I think, the past season that not a lot of people know about. That personally, he went through something that no one would ever want to go through. Yeah, literally, I do believe that. And I think Conte's been a little bit like, you go off and do this and take your time out and sort of claim it. You've got a back injury when you don't, because you're giving him some time off because he needs it, because he's not right in it, like he's not there. He's just not mentally there. And I think that probably would have been too much for Mourinho. But
if we did sign him though, and then Mourinho broke him, Rashford would have been our number 9 and won the league.
All right, we've gone into a million different hypotheticals here, but let's get back on track and on topic. So the next question, I'm going to come to Olivia for this one, is firstly, who do you think is going to be the next Chelsea manager? And then how do you think he's going to do against Mourinho?
I couldn't tell. I did think it would probably be Allegri. He's come out and said he's going to stay at Juventus. They're looking at Sarri now. I'm not sure how I feel about... Obviously, it's going to be someone with no managerial experience, but he doesn't have a winning mentality, and that's the sort of thing that worries me. He's won nothing. Like Conte, at least he's won some league titles with Juventus. I honestly don't have a clue who our next manager is going to be.
Could it be one of the 27 you've sacked in the last 15 years, maybe? Bring any of them back? Ancelotti?
Yeah, Ancelotti.
I don't know how it ended with him.
Yeah, I think everyone was like, did he have a job offer somewhere? No.
Yeah, Rafa, Ancelotti, Jose.
I'd quite like Ancelotti. I would be open to having. No, you can have him. You keep that. Ancelotti, I'd quite like, but they're looking to bring in Luis Enrique perhaps, and they all play attacking football, which we're not very used to. Like Mourinho always played defensive football. Conte played very defensive football, him being Italian. I don't know if the games are going to be as hyped up as it was Conte versus Mourinho, because there was always something there, wasn't there? And maybe that new manager may come in and start something with Mourinho straight away, just to create a little bit of, hype around the games. But I feel like these 2 seasons were the sort of, they've just been hyped up so much. And like this final game on Saturday, you've won 2, we've won 2. So this is like the final Mourinho versus Conte, who wins? And it's going to be Conte.
Mourinho was playing for this for the whole season.
David.
When Mourinho started talking about match fixing in January, he was playing for this final game, and that's why he did it. And that's why he's going to win. Simple. He's already in his head.
Dave, let's talk about Mourinho versus Chelsea's next manager. Who do you think it's going to be, and how do you think he's going to do against Jose?
I think, like Olivia was saying, that the mad thing about Chelsea is they've had defensive managers, and that's where they've been good in the Premier League. And what they're looking at now is a manager that's going to play out from the back, that's going to look to play from the ball through midfield, and it's the polar opposite of the Chelsea squad right now. Like, you're looking at that midfield, Bakayoko, Kante, and maybe Danny Drinkwater. Is anyone in there where you're thinking, oh, that's a Jorginho, someone that can get on the ball and play from defensive midfield? And I think that is the problem with clubs at the moment, is that they go from polar opposites. They go from one style, like United under Louis van Gaal to Mourinho. That is polar opposites, and that's the problem. If Sarri comes in, he's a wonderful boss, and what he's done at Napoli, what he did at Empoli before, is unbelievable. And you look at someone like Dries Mertens, who was an inconsistent winger, to a player that's like one of the most deadly strikers in European football. You could see a similar thing with potentially Eden Hazard. Although Eden Hazard says he doesn't want to play centrally, that's where he should play to improve. So it's going to be so interesting, and I think that's the problem with the battle, is that Mourinho is so set on what he's doing and he's ready for next season, whereas this manager's going to come in and be like, right, lads, we need to change absolutely everything. We're not going to be playing back three anymore. We're not going to sit deep. We're going to press high. And that takes a lot of coaching. So it's a big, big job. And with the World Cup as well, you're not going to have the players for that long this summer. So I think for Chelsea, it's going to be a really slow start until that manager gets his style of football through. And then we'll see some improvement. But it'll mean that Mourinho's already got like 2 to 3 months ahead, in terms of training, in terms of everything, in terms of being with the new players that United are going to sign this summer. So for me, it's kind of a battle that Mourinho may have already won.
Adam, who's your tip for Chelsea manager? Who do you think's going down? How do you think he'll do against Jose?
Moisey.
What about Brendan Rodgers?
No, do you know what? Someone linked us with him yesterday. No, that's not.
Craig Burley or someone like that.
No, I genuinely don't know, don't care, because Chelsea changed their managers so often. I can't I don't consider Chelsea to be a rival to us next season because of the fact they got Europa League football. So right now, I'm not really thinking about them. But what I was thinking about them when Dave's mentioned January and when Jose Mourinho started his little mind games with Conte, weren't they right behind us in the league at that point?
Yeah, they were. They were basically the competition for second place, and he literally has messed up their whole season.
Yeah, all right. 2018 hasn't been great. Let's try to season's done now. Let's forget about it. We're looking to next season.
There was something like after he made the comments in the 3 games after that, Chelsea had scored like 1 goal. They'd lost the ball and they conceded like 9.
Yeah. 2018 weren't great.
2018.
It's fine. It's fine. We're gonna top it off on Saturday with a win, when all you lot or your smiles will be like tears.
Yeah, I'd be pretty upset, to be honest.
Right, we're going to come back to you. You can kick out this one off, Olivia, for us. Predictions for the game. After everything that you've just said, who's going to become the FA Cup champions of the world this weekend? It's
going to be Chelsea. I think, do you know what's interesting is, like, you've been rubbish recently and we've been rubbish recently. Like, no performances have been inspiring at all. Like, your draw with West Ham is one of the worst games I think I've ever watched. Chelsea's game with Huddersfield was quite entertaining, but we were rubbish as well. So I think we're sort of going into this game, none of us are either in particularly good form, none of us playing well, but I just think your team is there for the taking. I don't think you're particularly good. I think that defence is very, I mean, not that our defence is great, but you're thinking of Rudiger, who kept Salah in his pocket, did a really good job. If he starts, Christensen's been brilliant this season, bar a couple of mistakes. But I think I don't get. I'm not worried about. I wasn't. Do you know what it says? Saying that, I wasn't actually worried when we played you at Old Trafford and you went and beat us. So, but I just believe in a big game. I'm not losing 2 FA Cup finals in a row. I'm just not. I'm not settling for that. So we're gonna,
playing, Olivia?
We're gonna, yeah. To be fair, the way they've been playing, I could be on that pitch on Saturday.
Adam, who's winning and why?
Oh, you know what? If it was a league game, I think we'd lose it. But because of the way, like, we've been going Jose's clearly been just preparing for the FA Cup final when you look at the last couple of league games. And despite the fact that I haven't really been impressed with United in the last couple of months, when you look at the game against Spurs, you look at the game against Liverpool, Arsenal, even the Manchester City game, we managed to get the job done. And I don't think we'll go 2-0 down. Oh, could be famous last word, but I don't think you'll need us to go 2-0 down to react in this game, because I think Jose will have everything tactically ready for this one, whether it's pretty to watch or not. So I can see us sneaking it, whether it needs to go to extra time. And if you was it 2007 Cup final when Drogba won it in extra time? Was it 2007?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
So exactly 12 years later, 11 years later, I'm hoping Mourinho is on the winning side
Happy
again.
National Numeracy Day, everybody.
Yeah. I did my maths GCSE in year 10. So the thing is, I crammed for the exam and they just forgot everything.
Speaking of numbers, David, give us your predictions for the game. Who's going to be FA Cup champions of the world and why?
No, I think it's going to be Man United. I think what we talked about before, the mind games that have been setting in, Mourinho as well, messing about with the back three against West Ham. Yeah, it was a terrible game, but that's also on the path to mind games. Are United going to play a back three or are they going to play a back four? It opens up a lot of, thought in Conte's head of how to solve this problem. But I think what Adam was saying about United maybe needing a bit of a kick up the arse, I think that might happen again. United seem to react in these games in 2018, the likes of, the City game, the Chelsea game, the Spurs game, going a goal down almost makes this United team a bit better. So
you know why, Dave? Because we forget about Jose's tactics.
Or do we actually push the tactics through like in the City game?
Can you rely on that again? Can you rely on you recovering after if you go a goal down, because it might not happen again?
But then the thing is, I've got belief in that we can come back from a goal down, which is different than the start of the season, where if we went a goal down, it didn't look like we'd come back. The first season under Mourinho, it was like, we chuck long balls up, we throw people into the box, whereas this season we're a little bit more composed. We think the Palace game as well. Nemanja Matic, that's what I want to see, a Nemanja Matic winner from about 30 yards. Simple.
This is Jesse's playground, baby.
Thanks to you guys for watching at home. We will have all the usual stuff, fan cams, preview, and the vlog from another successful FA Cup final trip. Make sure to check out and vote. Who do you think won this debate? Who made the best points? Who do you think is the best out of all of the different topics that we've just mentioned about there? Go and vote in the corner up here.
Yo, guys, I got some news. Breaking news. David Moyes has left West Ham, so Olivia's dream is going to come true. And he's going to be Chelsea.
All right,
not happening.
Oh, you could have Sam Allardyce as well, because he's looking for work. So happy days all around. Right then, go and vote. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already. Go and check out what they're doing over on CFC Fan TV as well, if you're into that kind of thing. Yeah. And we will see you after United become FA Cup champions of the world.
Chelsea.
My prediction is it's going to go exactly the same as the Europa League final when we became Europa League champions of the world last year. It's going to be 2-0 because Jose is going to have out-thunk the guy.
Marwan Fellaini.
God, no, don't bring him to London.